What up, folks? It's your boy Tim again, also known as Chicago in the Corner. As you can see, this video is titled How to Talk to Police Safely. And we're going to get into that safely, and we're going to actually tackle the question of, do we really even need police in 2021? As you can see, the videos coming out of police misconduct, corruption, some cases even murder just seem to be never ending. So do we even need police? But before we get into that crazy question, I'm going to ask that you do what I always ask you to do. At the end of the video, if you like what I had to say, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. These thumbs up and thumbs down mean a lot. They make a lot of difference in my analytics. I do appreciate that. And as usual, I like my people hitting the subscribe button. And if you want to drop a comment, I always address the comments and we can hash out anything you have to say, whether you like me or you hate me. So, do we need police? And how do you talk to police safely? First of all, do we need police? Yeah, in a civilized society, all day, every fucking day, we need police. Without police, a civilized society is not going to maintain civility for very long. It doesn't matter what you have in your basement, on your closet shelf, or in your garage. You're only going to be able to defend yourself from people for so long. I mean, it's just the way it is. If America or any other country decided to completely eradicate itself of its police force, it would be kind of like, if you ever seen the old movie Mad Max or Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, just marauders that would band together and, literally travel the countryside, robbing, raping, pillaging, and doing whatever they want. I mean, there's certain groups of people, elderly, for instance, that you're not going to hand an elderly guy an AK-47 and say, good luck. Don't worry about anybody breaking in your house. It's just not going to work. So you need to be able to call help when things go wrong. In any country, there's going to be things that are going to go wrong. So yeah, we absolutely need police. I don't agree with the defund the police movement at all, at least not on its face, but we can talk about other methods of defunding, which is, your local police doesn't need an MRAM. They don't need a gunship. They don't need a tank and things like that. So that area of police you can absolutely defund. But how do you talk to police safely? Well, that's what we're going to get into, because you do have a lot of people that get pulled over. They got a chip on their shoulder. They don't trust police. Some of them just want to invoke their constitutional rights for stuff like, I'm going to invoke my right to remain silent, or I'm not going to let you search my vehicle or my person without a warrant, or I don't want to talk to you. I'm just going to show you my ID, or in some cases on the street, you have no probable cause, so I'm not even going to show you my ID. All of these things can result in conflict. All of them are not illegal, but they all can result in conflict. Basically, when a cop is asking you to do something, whether he has the right to do it or not, if you do not do it, you can find yourself on the wrong end of the law. It's just as simple as that. There are plenty of videos of people spitting in cops' face and attacking cops and coming into an unsavory end, which they deserve. But there are also plenty of videos of people invoking their constitutional rights, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, First Amendment, and they're meeting unsavory endings just like the people who committed battery against a police officer. Point being, cops do not like for you to not comply with what they're asking you to do, whether they have a right to ask you to do it or not. So, how do you deal with police safely? I'm going to say this. I'm going to give you two examples. I'll start with the lighter one first. It's kind of like, I always say 1970s baseball, which is kind of revealing how long I've been on earth. But let's just say any particular professional sport before the day and age of instant replay. The day and age of instant replay, you know how they can, you say something, I was safe, I'm not out, or I scored, or I got fouled. They can go look at the replay and see if you were right. And if you are right, the referee or the umpire will overturn the call. Before instant replay, that did not exist. We're going to go and compare police to the era before instant replay existed. And what I mean by that is, whatever the call the umpire or referee makes on the field or on the court, that call is going to stand no matter how bad it is. You can do like they did in baseball, kick dirt and dust on the umpire all you want. You can cuss at the umpire. You can argue with the umpire. But at the end of the day, the call is going to stand. And what I mean by that, when it comes to police, You can argue about what they've done to you all you want, but at the end of the day, forgive my lighting there for a minute, but at the end of the day, what they have said is going to stand. Okay, I wasn't speeding, or I didn't run a stop sign, or I saw the red light and I stopped before it turned red, or whatever the case may be. Once he's pulled you over and decided that he is going to pursue a fine, a fee, arrest you, or whatever the case may be, there is no instant replay. That call is going to stand. And what I'm trying to say is, it makes no sense to keep arguing with the cop on the side of the road at that point. That call is going to stand. And that's how it used to be in sports, which is why I'm making the comparison, is that no matter how much arguing or cussing you do, at the end of the day, you're going to get this ticket, you're going to get arrested, or we're going to tow your car, or whatever they plan on doing. You're not going to talk your way out of it on the side of the road. So that would be my first way of advising the average citizen how to deal with police. Is treat it like sports before instant replay. And also keep in mind, in sports, if you keep arguing, you're going to get ejected from the game, which is actually the umpire or the referee escalating the conflict. And that's the same thing with the cops. If you keep arguing against the call that he made, no matter how bad it is, they're going to eject you from the game, which could be an arrest, beating, you could end up tased, or you could end up losing your life. But if you keep arguing, that is what's going to happen, is the umpire is going to take it to the next level, give you a foul, and literally throw you out of the game in some horrible manner. So that's the first way I would say. The second way I would say it is even more sinister. If you're in a bank, bunch of guys come in with long rifles and yell, "This is a bank robbery. Do what we say and you won't get hurt." That's probably what is your best option. And unfortunately, I would say that's probably the best way to deal with police officers as well. You look at them like they are an armed individual. I'm not going to say that they're all bad, but they all are armed. And they all do enforce what they want you to do, up to and including death. I mean, you can actually jaywalk and end up getting killed. If you keep resisting, it keeps going up and up and up to and including death. So it's the same thing. I would say you look at a police officer the same way you would look at a bunch of armed guys walking into a bank. I mean, it's plain and simple. Either you do what they say, or you could ultimately lose your life. If you look at it like that, or you look at it like I told you before, sports before instant replay, just doing those two things alone will reduce your chances of an unsavory ending by a substantial amount. Now, we could sum all of it up and say, how do you deal with police safely? We could say respect, but at the same time, like I said before, simply respecting the law does not guarantee a decent outcome. And the reason I say that is because, yeah, if you respect an officer, you're not going to spit in his face, you're not going to curse him out. But saying, "I don't want you to search my car without a warrant," is not disrespecting a cop. And you could absolutely face an unsavory ending for doing it. Same thing with, "I don't want to talk to you, I want to remain silent," or "You have no probable cause, so I don't want to tell you my name or show you my ID." None of that is disrespecting a police officer. And you absolutely could be treated just as bad as somebody who took a swing on an officer. And there's heaps of videos online of people of all races, not just black, but people of all races, who just simply said, "I don't want to hand you my ID. This isn't, this particular stop is not, it's I won't say it not justified, but you have no probable cause or any reason to stop me. I don't want to show you my ID." Particularly if you're not driving, if you're just walking down the street. If a cop asks you for your ID, legally you don't have to show it to him. If he asks you for your name and you're not involved in anything, legally you don't have to tell him. These things get people in trouble a lot, and that is not disrespecting a police officer. So never fall into the belief that simply respecting a cop will guarantee your safety. You want your safety to be guaranteed, you got to comply with that cop, whether he's disrespecting you or not. Now, I'm not telling you this to make you bow down like some pussy or, kiss ass or what. I'm just simply telling you what statistically will help you versus putting you in a bad situation. And like I said, some of this stuff is wrong all day, every day when they start violating your constitutional rights. But I'm just simply telling you, on the side of the road, pulling out the Constitution will not save you from a good old-fashioned ass kicking or extra tickets, fees and fines, getting your car towed, or even some bogus ass charges. I mean, it just will not save you. So we can go back and forth in the comments on that, but I could post you tons of videos of people who actually were invoking their constitutional rights and came across an unsavory ending. So like I said, never think that you got to punch a cop or talk shit or spit on a cop or something like that or run away to meet an unsavory ending. You just have to not do what he's asking you to do, whether it's legal, legitimate or not. Non-compliance is probably the biggest reason why people get in trouble. And there's a whole lot of things that fall under the umbrella of non-compliance. So at the end of the day, how do we kind of come together and come up with a solution to this? Well, first of all, we got to stop arguing. And what I mean by that is most of the stuff that I'm saying, it resonates with white and black people. But yet what we have is people yelling Black Lives Matter and people yelling All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter or I back the blue. People saying that cops are mistreating black people, and then other people saying that, well, cops mistreat white people just as much and they shoot white people just as much. My question becomes, what's more important? Fixing the problem or properly wording it? I mean, it's just it's as simple as that. Do you want to address police brutality? Is that more important to you? Or is it more important to properly call it out for what it is? Instead of saying Black Lives Matter or cops are killing more blacks than whites, I would much rather you would say that cops kill more whites than blacks and it's not just black people. Is that more important than us both getting together, going down to the police station and starting to talk to the sergeant, talk to the lieutenant and get the problem fixed? Because that's what we have, is there's more arguments on, the claim that is not being properly worded than there are trying to actually fix the problem. So, that's a whole different video, but that's one of the things that pisses me off the most is that, people are complaining more, well, you're not saying it right. Whatever. But anyway, how do you talk to police safely? That is my answer. And it's not a good answer. I'm sure I'll get some comments on it because it does make it sound like I'm telling you to bow down to police or kiss a cop's ass or do things that you don't have to do and waive all your rights. And statistically speaking, if I can get that word out, statistically speaking, doing that shit does improve your odds of surviving a police, surviving a bad encounter with police. I'm not going to say they're going to beat you or kill you. Like I said, it could just be you getting cussed out, or it could just be you, getting tickets and fines that you normally wouldn't get. But I've heard people say all the time, if a cop asks to search your car, they're just doing their job. Let them do it. You don't have to. There's a constitution that says you don't have to. If they don't have probable cause, they don't have a warrant, you don't have to. But there are plenty of people who will tell you, well, just let them do it and go about your day and things will be smoother. They are right. If you just let them do it, your day will be smoother. But at the same time, you are waiving rights that you have according to the Bill of Rights. I mean, like I said, First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment is in there. Several of the, even the Second Amendment. There are plenty of people who were open carrying, for instance, and they're suddenly getting accosted by police for doing nothing wrong. There are tons of videos on YouTube of predominantly white people, for instance, walking down the street open carrying, and people were calling the cops on the right and left, and the guys are like, I don't show you my ID. Some of these guys end up having guns drawn on them and everything. Open carry is legal in just about, I would say way more than half of the states in the United States. You can legally walk down the street with a pistol on your hip. Yeah, cops you can find yourself on the wrong end of a police encounter, open carrying in most places in America, depending on the cop you encounter. So once again, I'll tell you, how do you deal with police safely? Compliance. And I mean sheer and utter unconditional compliance. That's about the only way that the statistics are going to be in your favor. And I'm not talking, like I said, about kissing. I'm not talking about just, keeping your mouth respectful, not cursing, I'm talking about forgetting that you have constitutional rights, all of that. Sheer and utter compliance. And you will have to continue doing that, unfortunately, until we come up with some form of police reform. Defund the police is just really bad words to use. Everybody knows that the police needs to be reformed, and you're starting to hear more and more people actually use that word, which is the proper word, as opposed to defund. Defund was the worst words you could use from day one because it actually gave so much sympathy to police that it actually took our eyes off of what the people actually wanted. Even some of the most staunch police haters do not want a society where there are no police. We all got moms and grandmas. You think your mom's going to be safe or your grandma's going to be safe without the police? You can't be at every one of your family members' house with your little gun every when something happens. We all need police, even the most hardcore gangbangers. When they're trapped and things come down to the wire, a lot of them pick up the phone and dial 911. So we do need police. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that doesn't mean that it is wrong or unpatriotic or un-American to criticize the police. I mean, we've entered a day and age where people have gotten on their side so much that any kind of criticism is considered to be hatred. You know, like, you can like the police and point out bad things they do. You don't have to defend the police unconditionally to be pro-police. And in pointing out something that the police did that's wrong doesn't make you anti-police. That type of rhetoric needs to change, because that doesn't help anybody out. That, because then what you have is the people who support police feeling like, for these people, I can do anything I want because they're going to back me no matter what. My lighting is not the best today. I didn't set up my laptop properly, and it is timing out on me, and my light's going out, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, I've kind of answered the question now. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Tell me where I'm getting this one wrong. How do you believe is the best way to deal with police safely? Like I said, we're all going to go with the typical comment of respect. But as I just pointed out, when it comes to invoking your constitutional rights, you're not disrespecting the police, and you still can have a very bad experience. So let's not just put it at simply being very respectful. And by the way, also too, cop is a human just like you are. If you're in your military outfit or something, you don't have any right to demand that the cop calls you by your rank. You might be a sergeant, you might be a lieutenant, or whatever you are in the military. You have no right to demand that the cop, I'm in the Army, you should call me major. You can't demand. So the cop should not be allowed you to do that either. And there are plenty of cops who get mad when people don't call them officer and sir and all of that stuff. So once again, this stuff can put you on the wrong side of a police officer. Yet there's no law requiring you to do it. And calling an officer man or whatever you want, that's not disrespecting them. Cops will, hey, what you doing, slick? Or where you going, boy? Or son? I mean, they call different names all the time. I don't know why it becomes disrespectful when you do it in the opposite way. So we got to get the ego tripping part off. That would be once again in police reform, but that's a different video. So we're going to close this one out by asking once again, what is your method of dealing with police? Have you ever been respectful within your rights and still had a bad encounter? If so, post it. Or do you know someone personally that's had a bad encounter? Maybe your son, your brother, your cousin, your mom, someone, or you may have been in the car watching it. I would love to hear some of your stories. We can talk about that. I would dare say that most people, particularly male, we can say black and minority, but we can say just male, period, between the ages of probably 18 and 40, know at least one person that's had a bad experience with police, if it wasn't them themselves. And my opinion is that's probably all races. There's a lot more issues with police than we like to admit. That 99% of cops are good and just want to go up to their family thing. Let's just be real, 99% of priests are not good. You heard about the sex scandals in the Catholic Church. You think cops who deal with the worst of society every day, all day, would have a record of 99% of them being good? That's laughable. But we're going to end the video. Like I said, how do you deal with police safely? I want to hear your stories. I'm going to ask once again that you hit that like button, or if you thought this was just a bunch of bullshit, hit the dislike button. Those likes and dislikes really help me out a lot, helps the channel out a lot, and I will talk to you guys next time. Your boy Chicago out.